Have you ever had one of those months where nothing big happened? No insane splurge, no emergency room visit, no surprise vacation booking, no new couch, no wedding, no major purchase, and yet your bank account still looks like it got hit by a silent tornado. You didn't do anything reckless. You didn't buy a Rolex. You didn't order a designer wardrobe. You just lived a normal month. Groceries, gas, a couple meals out, maybe a coffee or two. Maybe you replaced something boring like a charger, a pair of shoes, or a kitchen item that finally broke. And then payday shows up, you open your banking app, and your brain immediately goes, "Wait, why does this feel wrong?" That moment is brutal because it's not just about money. It's about the feeling that you're working, you're trying, you're doing the responsible thing, and somehow you're still not moving forward. And if you've ever thought, "I make decent money, I'm not doing anything crazy, so why do I still feel broke?" You're not alone. The most dangerous thing about modern money problems is that they don't always come from obvious mistakes. They come from 1,000 tiny, normal decisions that don't feel like a problem in the moment. They come from habits. They come from convenience. They come from social pressure. They come from the fact that prices have exploded in a way that makes regular life cost like a luxury lifestyle. And because it happened gradually, we didn't notice the shift until we were already living inside it. My name is Ben, and I help people understand money in a way that actually changes behavior, not with vague advice like budget better, but by showing you where the leaks are, why they happen, and how to plug them without turning your life into misery. Because the goal isn't to become a monk. The goal is to stop paying premium prices for mediocre value, stop bleeding money on autopilot, and start building real stability. Savings that grow, investments that compound, and options that make life feel lighter. So today, we're going to talk about the stuff people buy in 2026 that simply isn't worth it anymore. Not because you're cheap, and not because you don't deserve nice things, but because the math is different now. The value has collapsed, the prices have inflated, and the culture is basically begging you to stay broke while pretending it's normal. This is going to hit a nerve. Good, because if you can face it now, you'll be grateful later. Let's start with food, because it's the most common leak and it's the easiest one to justify. Fast food used to be the cheat code of modern life. Quick and cheap. That was the entire deal. You didn't go to the drive-thru for a spiritual experience. You went because you could get fed quickly without spending much. Now you pull up, order something basic, and the total pops up like a bad joke. $12, $15, sometimes $20 for a meal that still comes in a paper bag and still tastes the same as it did when it cost half that. It's not even like the quality doubled. The value didn't improve. The price just exploded. And what's crazy is that we've normalized it. Think about how your brain treats fast food now. It's not a budget decision. It's an emotional decision. You're tired. You're hungry. You're busy. You don't want to cook. You don't want to think. You want relief. And relief spending is one of the most expensive forms of spending because it feels justified every time. "It's only one meal" is the most dangerous sentence in personal finance. Because it's never one meal. It's Monday because you had a long day. Wednesday because you don't want dishes. Friday because you're out running errands. Sunday because you're not prepared. and suddenly you're spending hundreds a month on food you don't even love. And then restaurants, sit-down restaurants, take that leak and turn it into a flood. Going out to eat used to be something you could do regularly without it feeling like a financial event. Now you sit down at a totally average place, not fancy, not fine dining, not a special occasion, and you order like a normal person. 2 entrees, maybe an appetizer, because you're already there, drinks because water feels sad, maybe dessert because why not? And the bill arrives at $80 or $90 before tip. Then you tip because you're tipping, and now your normal dinner is $100. One dinner. Gone. No asset. No value left. Just a receipt and a moment that passed. And here's where it gets brutal. It's not the occasional $100 dinner that destroys people. It's doing it multiple times a week and calling it normal. It's the constant, we're tired meals, the quick lunches, the little snacks, the delivery fees, the add-ons, the let's just grab something that becomes $35 without you noticing. People don't feel like they're spending that much because it's spread out across the month. But when you total it up, it's shocking. It's rent money, it's investment money, it's debt payoff money, and it's disappearing into meals you barely remember 2 days later. Now let's talk about cars, because this one is a financial landmine. People step on while smiling. Buying a brand new car is one of the most socially accepted ways to sabotage your future. And people hate hearing that, because cars are emotional. Cars are identity. Cars are status. Cars are how you present yourself. But the math is merciless. The moment you drive a new car off the lot, it drops in value instantly. You haven't even gotten home and you've already lost thousands. Then it keeps depreciating every year like clockwork. Meanwhile, most people finance cars, which means you're paying interest on top of a purchase that is guaranteed to lose value. So you're paying extra money monthly for a thing becoming worth less monthly. That's not just bad. It's backwards. And people don't buy new cars for transportation. They buy new cars for a feeling. They buy the feeling of, I'm doing well. They buy the feeling of, I deserve it. They buy the feeling of, I'm not behind. They buy the feeling of being seen. But here's the harsh reality. If you're a normal person trying to build wealth, that feeling costs you years. It costs you flexibility. It costs you the ability to invest. It costs you options. And that's why a 3 to 5-year-old used car is such a cheat code. Someone else already ate the depreciation. You get the utility without the penalty. But you have to be willing to choose function over ego, and most people aren't. Let's move into clothing, because this category is basically marketing disguised as self-expression. Some expensive clothing is worth it. Quality boots, a coat that lasts, items that actually hold up over time. But most expensive clothing purchases people make are not about durability. They're about logos. They're about brand recognition. They're about signaling. You can buy a plain shirt for $10, or you can buy a nearly identical shirt with a logo for $200. Same function, often similar materials. The difference is the symbol. And people pay the difference because they believe it changes how they're perceived. But most people don't care. And the people who do care are usually trapped in the same status game, spending money they don't have to impress people they don't even like. The worst version of this is going into debt for it. That's borrowing money to look like you have money. That's financial cosplay. That's building an image while your real life gets more fragile. And it never ends, because status spending is a treadmill. You buy the thing, you feel good for a moment, then it becomes normal, and you need a new thing to get the feeling again. That's how people end up with closets full of nice stuff and zero savings. Now, vacations. Because social media turned travel into a competition. Travel can be amazing. It can be meaningful. It can change your perspective. But a huge amount of modern travel spending isn't about curiosity or connection. It's about proof. Proof that your life is exciting. Proof that you're not missing out. Proof that you're doing well. So people book trips they can't afford because they saw someone else do it. They buy flights at peak prices. They book hotels that look good in photos. They spend on experiences because they should. Then they put it on a credit card. The trip ends, and the payments begin, and now your 1 week of fun becomes a year-long financial hangover with interest attached. You know what people never post on Instagram? The 6 months of stress after the vacation. The why is my card still high? Panic. The feeling of being trapped because you owe money for a trip that's already over. And again, I'm not saying don't travel. I'm saying travel like an adult. Travel like someone who wants freedom later. Take smaller trips. Travel off-season. Explore local places. Save for the big trip. Don't borrow to impress strangers. Now let's talk about the silent killer. Subscriptions. Subscriptions are dangerous because they don't feel like spending. They feel like background noise. $10 here, $15 there, another $12. A free trial you forgot to cancel. Streaming services, music, cloud storage, delivery memberships, apps, software, premium versions of things you barely use. Each one is small enough to ignore. Together they become a leak that never stops. And because it's automated, you don't feel it. It's money evaporating while you're living your life. Ask yourself a simple question. If you had to re-enter your card today, how many of these would you keep? Most people would keep 2 or 3 and cancel the rest. But they don't cancel because canceling takes effort, and effort is uncomfortable, and it's easier to just keep paying. That's how companies win. And it's not just streaming. Gym memberships are the classic example. People sign up, go for 2 weeks, then stop going, but keep paying because canceling feels like admitting defeat. So they pay $50 or $60 a month for the privilege of feeling guilty. That's not a fitness plan. That's a shame subscription. Then electronics, the upgrade treadmill. Every year, a new phone drops, and suddenly, your perfectly fine phone feels old. Better camera, faster chip, new feature you'll use once, and people upgrade every year or 2 like it's normal. But what do most people do on their phones? Scroll, text, watch videos, use maps, take photos. Your phone from 2 or 3 years ago can do that. So why upgrade? Because you're buying novelty. You're buying the dopamine hit of new. You're buying the identity of being up to date. And over a decade, that habit costs thousands. Money that could have become freedom. And it doesn't stop with phones. Laptops, tablets, watches, earbuds, gaming consoles, smart home devices. People keep stacking gadgets because the culture tells them it's normal to constantly upgrade. Meanwhile, the devices don't even last as long as they used to. They're designed to become obsolete. They're designed to make you feel behind. And people keep playing the game because it feels easier than stepping off the treadmill and saying, "Actually, I'm good." Now, household spending, because this one gets disguised as adulting and upgrading your life. branded cleaning products that work about the same as generic, premium kitchen gadgets you use twice a year, furniture that people finance like it's a car, decor that exists mostly to look good in photos. People are building their homes like they're staging them for a magazine shoot, then wondering why they feel financially stressed. They're paying interest on couches. They're paying interest on tables. They're paying monthly payments for a living room. That's insane. But it's becoming normal. And normal is often the enemy of wealth. And all of this connects to one root issue: status spending. People buy things not because they need them, and sometimes not because they truly want them, but because of what those things signal. The car signals success. The clothes signal taste. The vacation signals excitement. The phone signals being ahead. The furniture signals you've made it. But if those purchases are keeping you broke, they are not signals of success. They're signals of insecurity. They're proof that you're buying approval instead of building freedom. And here's the most backward part. Actually, wealthy people usually aren't doing this. They don't need to prove anything. They don't need to win the neighborhood. They don't need to flex online. They're quietly building assets. They're buying time. They're buying options. They're protecting their peace. So here's the fork in the road. You can look wealthy, or you can become wealthy. And for most people, doing both at once is nearly impossible. Every dollar spent trying to impress people who aren't paying your bills is a dollar stolen from your future. Now, let me be clear. I'm not saying you should never enjoy life. I'm not saying cut everything fun and live on rice and beans forever. That's not the point. The point is intentionality. Buy what genuinely improves your life. Spend on what truly matters to you. But stop paying premium prices for stuff that doesn't deliver premium value. Stop letting marketing decide what you need. Stop letting social pressure dictate your spending. Because most of what people spend money on doesn't actually make them happier. It makes them broke. And being broke is a constant background stress that poisons everything. Here's the easiest move you can make without changing jobs, without doubling your income, without doing anything complicated. Track your spending for 30 days. Not to shame yourself, not to punish yourself. To see reality. Most people know the big bills, but the leaks are invisible until you shine a light on them. And once you see them, you can plug them. You can choose to cook at home more often. You can keep your car longer. You can buy used. You can cancel subscriptions you don't use. You can delay upgrades until something actually breaks. You can choose generic products. You can say no to status spending. And once you stop bleeding, something weird happens. You start to feel rich without earning more. You start to feel calmer. You start to feel like you have control. You start building savings. You start investing consistently. You start making progress. Because financial progress isn't only about income, it's about what you keep. The people who figure this out early end up financially calm later. They don't panic when something breaks. They don't feel trapped in jobs they hate. They can invest consistently and let time do its job. The people who don't figure it out keep making decent money and still feel broke forever because their lifestyle is optimized for looking good, not living free. So if you've been wondering why your money disappears after a normal month, this is why. It's the modern price-to-value collapse combined with a culture that normalizes constant spending, upgrades, convenience, and status. The fix isn't complicated, but it requires one thing. Stop sleepwalking. Decide what matters. Cut what doesn't. Build freedom instead of buying the appearance of it. And if you want more videos like this, simple, direct, and actually useful, subscribe to the channel. Because I'm going to keep showing you exactly how to keep more of your money and build real wealth instead of just looking like you have it.